Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Amanda and welcome to Soul Care. On this channel, I typically talk about tarot and oracle. I talk about journaling. I've done some guided programs on my channel, and I also like to discuss any other spiritual topics that I feel called to talk about. Today, I'm back to bring you a video that is basically my thoughts on the Tower card and the fire element as a whole. I don't think I've really talked about this on my channel yet, but I've been working with Persephone this past little bit. I've been feeling very drawn to working with her, and Hecate, who is a deity that I work with quite closely on my path, is really pushing me to work with Persephone. So I've gone ahead and I've started working with her, and we started working together during Beltane mostly, but she has really come through recently very strongly to teach me a few different things, and one of them is duality, and another thing is fire. For some reason, she even manifested in my life as the Queen of Wands, which I think I'm going to do a video entirely separate of today's video on just talking about her and my experiences with her. But today I just kind of want to take a break from what I've been doing and just kind of come sit down and talk to you about the fire element and some things that I don't see very many people talking about. And that is, yes, the fire element is passion, it's direction, it's desire, it's drive. You think of the planet Mars, right? Your Aries, your god of war. In your Mars placements in astrology, it's your drive. It's what gets you up in the morning. It's what really drives you as an individual. It's how you express your anger as well. It's so many things in regards to the fire element, right? The things that you think about when you think about fire. It's your passions. It's your sex drive. What I don't really see very many people talking about in regards to the element of fire is also the darker side of it and how destructive it is, right? And a good example of this is the Tower card, right? Which is ruled by Mars, by the way. So I understand most of us, probably all of us actually, have experience with this energy and with this card. Even if you don't follow tarot, I'm sure you know what the Tower card is and what it represents. And if you don't, this is actually a really good video for you, because I'm going to be talking about that. So this card represents a catastrophic event in your life that basically shakes you to your core. It can feel like your entire world is being flipped upside down, and it can be very traumatizing. It can be unsettling, to say the least, right? And there is a sense of chaos and instability that comes along with this card and with the energy in general. It can really mark periods in your life where you just lack stability, or you feel like you don't have stability. And I think that even the most experienced Tower readers still have a sense of fear when it comes to this card. And I think a lot of us, well, the reason, I guess, for feeling this way, I think a lot of us have maybe had childhoods that you experienced a lot of Tower moments, and you're listening to one of them. I had a childhood very much where it was Tower moment after Tower moment. There was a lot of instability in my childhood. And that's a huge reason why even I freak out when I see this card, when I pull this card, and I've been pulling it a lot lately, and I've gotten so many different messages in regards to this card, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that as well a little bit later on in the video. But I do think that this card offers a beautiful opportunity to grow and to reestablish better structures in your life. Sometimes it can show up in your life when you're holding on to something, even though deep down inside you know that it doesn't work for you anymore. And sometimes it's almost like the universe is setting it up, or setting up a situation almost to cut that cord for you, because you just can't seem to do it yourself, or maybe you don't quite understand that that's something that you should do. And of course, not everybody is going to experience the card this way. I've also heard that it can be interpreted as just this massive release of energy. I haven't personally experienced this card like this, but I have experienced it in some interesting ways. This card can feel like your reality is completely being shifted. It can feel like your world is being rocked. A lot of the times too, people who've suffered a lot of trauma in their life, such as people who are ruled by the planet Pluto, your Scorpios, or anybody who has a significant amount of Scorpio in your chart, then you're not a stranger to this energy. You're not a stranger to trauma. And I think that you are you're so much stronger than you give yourself credit for, and you probably know your worth. You've come to a position in your life where you know your value and you know what you bring to the table. I feel like also there's a level of taking a negative situation and turning it into a positive. I've had moments in my life like that, and I know that sometimes this card can represent that, right? Sometimes, especially if you read reversals, sometimes if it shows up in reverse like this, it can also mean that you are trying to create that change within yourself. You're really, the word is on the tip of my tongue. You're targeting issues and beliefs within yourself to create the change that you want in your life. And you're really confronting, I want to say, old baggage, really. You are really creating this change within yourself, is basically the core message of it in reverse like that. So I'm just going to flip through. I just pulled a couple of different Tower cards, and this is an excellent interpretation. This is from the Green Witch Tarot. And this is from the Antique Anatomy Tarot. So this is an interesting depiction because it looks solid here, but they're all skulls. So that always makes me think of, or it reminds me, I guess I should say, of the transformative quality of the Tower card and fire in general. Something that I do, I guess, think is sort of relevant, and this is a personal experience, and I guess a lot of my personal practice, it is personal, so it makes sense. I have mentioned it a bit, I believe in my very first YouTube video. I suffered a terrible miscarriage. I've been through many nasty things in my life, but that was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. Not only did I suffer a miscarriage, it was my first pregnancy, and it was a miscarriage, and for some reason my body, it just was holding on. So I ended up having to take medication to help move things along, and I ended up actually losing a lot of blood. So I could say that that is a Tower moment. Pretty confidently, I could say that. And what ended up happening for me is, unfortunately, I did have to experience that situation, but I did turn that negative situation into a positive situation. And I ended up actually overcoming several fears that I had been holding on to since childhood through this event. And I do think that that can be sometimes a huge message and energy that comes along with the Tower card. And just looking at this card in general reminded me of that, and with skulls that represent death and transformation, and the Tower card just in general, and how confronting it can be, especially in regards to your own fears and realizing them sometimes. Right, so the Tower card, sorry, I was in the middle of explaining this before I remembered that by looking at this card. But the Tower card, in my opinion, it is the most destructive form that fire can take, right? And when you think about Tower moments too, like, it's sometimes natural disasters, and we've been experiencing a lot of forest fires here and flash floods. That can be somebody's Tower moment, very much so. And if you're experiencing that, I'm very sorry, and I hope that you figure the situation out, and I hope that things get better. The fire element and the Tower card, I think, come with this message of really approaching fire with reverence, respect, and caution. And when you think of the people in your life who have the most fire, we could say, or, you know, your fire signs, or people with a lot of fire in their personality, oftentimes understand this quality about fire. That's why the wand suit is the wands, right? That's why the fire element is represented by wands. It's a medium for them to control the fire, for them to control their passions. It's a channel. That's what I'm trying to say. And you'll see this with your fire signs. A lot of them, they understand how to manipulate and control their own fire, their passion, their rage, their anger. A lot of them don't, unfortunately, but I could say in my own personal experience, the majority of them that I know they're patient, and they weren't always, they've come a long way, but actually some of the most patient people in my life are fire signs, honestly. And that's a taught trait. For example, my husband's a Leo. He has, I believe, a moon in Sagittarius as well. So he has a lot of fire in him. And he learned how to channel his fire through martial arts the majority of his life. And even my own sister is a Leo. Growing up, she was very much that feisty, fiery Queen of Wands. But now it's interesting to see how her energy has really shifted. She's a lot more patient. She's learned how to control her anger and her passions. And she's now very much a King of Wands. So it's just interesting, and something to, I think, take into consideration when you are working with fire energy and the fire element in general, right? Is to very much approach it with respect and caution, even within yourself and when you're dealing with your own fire elements. So another thing too, especially particularly with this card, is unfortunately a lot of Tower moments do come with periods of significant growth, and even how I mentioned working with Persephone and her descent into the underworld, how it changed her. She grew from the experience. She grew in the darkness, essentially, right? It changed her. It transformed her. And the Tower card comes with an element of that as well. It can really shape you. It can help you grow spiritually. Right now, I want to discuss how sometimes the Tower card, it can give you an opportunity to see how far you've come and see what you bring to the table now. And really, sometimes I think it's important to compare the way things were to the way things are now, and to really show appreciation and gratitude towards yourself for how far you've come. And I think that this is a good place to end the video with that message. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have something to take away from it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'm always open to learning and growing on my journey. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.